Okay, I'm going to show you how to make a keychain similar to this one right here. So if you click on the Tinkercad grid, it should bring you to a screen like this, which will show you everything you've been working on. You're going to click Create New Design. Now, as always, there are many ways to make something. I'm going to show you one way. You may find a different way to make it. The first thing I want you to do is come up here. It kind of gives you its own name, and they're always kind of cute and funny, Swanky Blad. But we're going to change the name, and I want you to change it to Keychain. And then I'd like you to go ahead and put your first and last name so that I make sure once I print these out to get them to the right person. And then I'm going to put a 1 because I might make several versions of this. So I'll do a 2 if I make a new version. Okay. Now I'm going to pull in a box and I'm going to resize it. Before I start resizing, I'm going to change my grid from millimeters to inches because that's just what I'm more comfortable working in. So I'm going to click Edit Grid and I'm going to change my units to inches. Okay. And click Update Grid. Now, something else you can do in here if you want to is that under the presets, you can actually click MakerBot Replicator Plus, which will show you the actual size of our print bed because that's one of our printers. You don't have to do that. Anyway, I am now going to change the size of this. A size that I find works really well, I can click on it here and I can either drag this wider or I can click right on this number here and I'm going to make it 3 inches and I'm going to make it 1 inch tall. It's kind of a nice keychain size that I like to work with. And then for the height, I'm going to rotate here. I'm going to lower this height down. A good size for a keychain is about 1/4 inch. 0.25 is a really good size. Okay, so that'll about be the size of my keychain. Now from here, of course, you can do many different things, but I like it when it's kind of a cutout and then the words inside of it. So I'm going to grab another box. Actually, take that back. I am going to click Delete. And what I'm going to do is click on this box and I'm going to say Control C for copy and Control V for paste. So now I have 2 of them. And I'm going to change the color to a different color so I can see them. And I'm going to actually make this one taller. Oops, didn't mean to do that. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to change the size of this one to be smaller. So it's about 0.25 tall. I'm going to change the height of this to about 0.8. And I'm going to change the width here to 2.8. Now, if I put this right in there, you can see if I click the top view and I'm going to change off of perspective view to a flat view. So now I can kind of see how this is going to look like on the inside. Now, I don't think it's quite small enough, so I'm going to make it smaller. I'm going to grab my size here again, bring it in a little bit to maybe I'm going to click on this number 2.6 and I'm going to change this to 0.6. Okay. And now when I pull it over, that's the part I'm going to cut out. So in order to get these perfectly lined up, I'm going to click on both of them. So I've clicked the orange one and I'm going to press Shift and click the red one as well. And I'm going to come up to the Align button. And I'm going to align them centerways this way and centerways this way. Now I'm going to unclick from there and I'm going to click just the orange one and I'm going to change it to whole. Okay, so now you can see I'm kind of cutting that piece out. Now I'm going to highlight both of them, just draw a square around both of them, and I'm going to click Group. Now you can see I have just a square. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is put in some text. And I was playing around with some of these over here. I mean, these things are so fun. Please don't be afraid to play around with these. If you pull out this scribble button and click on it somewhere, you can draw a shape, okay? And do something really silly and crazy. And then you click done and it imports the shape just like you drew it. And then you can play around with it from there. So I'm actually going to delete that because what I want to do right now is use the text tool. And I'm going to put my text right in there. I'm going to come over here to the font, and I like the Sans font. I'm going to change the text to say my last name. Okay. Now I'm going to change the color again to something else so I can see what it's doing. I've played around with this and saw some really fun stuff. You could certainly make it like skinnier and bigger, and that could be, that could be where my last name goes. You can have so much fun with this. What I want to do is actually make it fit inside the square. So I'm going to grab my top view. And I'm just going to resize it. And I'm zooming in here, trying to move it. I'm going to go back to the top view. Something it does here, switch to perspective view, switch to flat view. I really like the flat view when I'm trying to work on this. Sorry, I keep scrolling in and scrolling out. This is hard to do while I'm recording. So if this was 1 inch and I made this inside 0.6, I want the height of my letters to be a little bit more than 0.6. And the reason is if I have the letters meet up right with the edge of this here, when it goes to print, they might be touching, but they might not actually be combined into a single object. So then my letters would fall right out. So it's really important when I click on my text here, and it's hard for me. There we go. Okay. I need these letters to be a little bit more than 0.6. So if I do something like 0.65, then I know they'll overlap a little bit. Okay. And I think the distance is good. So same thing with the aligning. I'm going to click on my letters. I'm going to hold shift down and click on my shape here, my square. I'm going to come up to align, and I'm going to center them this way and center them this way. Okay. Now, if for some reason I'm worried that this is overlapping too much, I can make that shorter. Now I want to make sure that my blue letters are the same height as the other part that I did here. And so I think I did that one. I got to find the right thing here. Sometimes it's hard to click around. This is new to me, so I don't know how to make it the same size. We made it 0.25 on the other one, so I'm going to do the same thing here. Okay. Now I want these to become one object. So I'm going to click my letters, hold shift, click my square, and group them together. So now I have one single object to print out. The last thing I need to do is make a circle. There's a couple different circles here. You can try this torus, you can try this tube, you can try the ring. I think I'm going to grab the tube, pull one over, put it right on there. It seems to fit really great. Other than that, it's too tall. So I'm going to lower it down, click on this, change that number to 0.25 so it's the same height as the other ones. And then maybe I want it to be just a little bit smaller. So I'm going to scale it in. Okay. Now I'll use my align tool again to make sure it's centered. So I click my keychain, hold shift, click my circle, click my align tool. And this time I'm just going to align it to the middle there, because if I align it to the middle here, it'll move to the middle. If I align it over here, it goes that way, okay? So I'm going to unclick from there and pull that back out. Just make sure that it's overlapping just a little bit. And then once I like where that is placed, I'll click the keychain, hold down Shift, click the circle, and I'll group them together. So now I have one single shape. I have it saved. Feel free to modify this however you want, and in a later video I'm going to show you how to get the keychain to me. It should save automatically, but it's you've got some other controls up here. If you want to duplicate it and make some modifications, then you can try making more than one and try changing it and then keeping the one that you like the best. So just some different things to try.